Hello students, today we will discuss about character of Lady Catherine. ओके ये जो कैरेक्टर है वो प्राइड एंड प्रेजुडाइज में, जो कि आपके जैन ऑस्टेन ने लिखी है. ओके, फर्स्ट द एरोगेंट इंटरफेरिंग वुमेन. Lady Catherine de Bourgh is deservedly celebrated as a comic creation, a magnificently observed portrait of the dominatingly arrogant, interfering woman consumed by self-importance. Far from exciting sympathy, she repulses us. She stirs only contempt in us, but it is the art of the novelist that even such characters as the foolish Collinus and the arrogant Catherine have become amusing and interesting. She is amusing because of the incongruity between the importance she assumes to herself and the actual influence she exercises in the story. Next, she is tall, large woman. She is the widow of Sir Louis de Bourgh. She is tall, large woman with strongly marked features. Her hair was not conciliating. She was so arrogant that she made others feel inferior. Whatever she said was spoken in so authoritative a tone as marked her self-importance. We hear of her from Collinus long before we meet her, and one of her chief characteristics is illustrated when Collinus informs Mr. Bennet that she had been condescended to advise him to marry as soon as he could, provided he closed with discretion. Next, Catherine, it is harsh and overbearing. The right to whom Lady Catherine de Bourgh is a woman bursting with importance and obviously overdwrought type. She presents the aristocratic headshot, the superiority of the privileged class. It is difficult to resist the conclusion that Jane Austen created her as a foil to Darcy. Both the characters are proud. In Darcy, pride is more modest quality, and one that Catherine, it is harsh and overbearing, touching the limits of arrogance. She is born aristocrat who has brought herself to believe not only in the position combined with flattery of people like Mrs. Collinus who surrounded her has made her conceited. She takes pleasure in displaying her wealth. If she invites people to dinner, then it is not out of kindness or generosity, but because it offers her an opportunity to display her luxurious living. In this way, she can impress them and get admiration as well as their thanks. She constantly wounds Elizabeth's feelings during the visits of the latter to her residence. Everything around her is interior, both in social status and mental quality. To these underprivileged people, she dictates with a calm, condescending air and invariably adopts the attitude of a Sir Oracle whose wisdom will not bear to be questioned. Having grown accustomed to flattery for power and wealth, reads parasites, she could not brook any criticism or opposition. Next, she is absurd in her constant interference with the lives of other people. She regulates the lives of the people in her parish, examines their employment, looks at their work and advises them to do differently, finds faults with the arrangement of furniture or defects the housemaid in the negligence when Elizabeth is about to leave. Henceforth, she is presumptive enough to advise her how to pack her boxes for journey. She is condescending to Elizabeth, offering to let her practice on the piano in a distant room, where she would be in nobody's way, inquiring into Charlotte's Now, Mrs. Collins' domestic affairs, familiarly and minutely, she prepared, advised on the most significant details of household management, counseling, thrift, and instructing her as to the care of her cows and her poultry. Of Elizabeth and her sister, she makes similar inquiries concerning about the details of her family, the number of sisters she has, and deploring the fact that Mrs. Vannin did not keep a governess to look after the education of her large family. The number of sisters she has, and deploring the fact that Mrs. Vannin did not keep a governess to look after the education of her large family. If we laughable that she accepts refreshments at Mr. Collins' place only to point out that the joint of meat are too large for Mr. Collins' place, only to point out that the joints of meat are too large for their family. Ridiculous also are her attempts at matchmaking, endeavoring to bring about an alliance between her sickly daughter and her nephew Darcy, so that the two estates may be joined. Next, her disagreeableness. Her disagreeableness is treated with a comic irony by Jane Austen. Thus, it is amusingly ironic that Lady Catherine's attempt to prevent the matter between Darcy and Elizabeth ensures its materialization, for she reports the outcome of this interview to Darcy, who is encouraged to propose again. The humour of this situation can be seen from Elizabeth's remark: Lady Catherine has been of infinite use, which ought to make her happy, for she loves to be of use. Okay, last, her character has direct relevance to theme of pride. But in addition to the part she plays in the action, her character has direct relevance to theme of pride. She has in extreme from the faults with which Darcy is entirely endowed. Consequently, she is an important influence on the development of Darcy himself. The contemplation of her insufferable self-importance, her absurd assumption of superiority on grounds of mere rank and wealth, causes Darcy to examine his attitudes towards himself and towards Elizabeth's family afresh. Lady Catherine's invitation to Elizabeth and to Elizabeth to come to Rosings every day and play on the piano for it in Mrs. Jenkins's room, that she would be in nobody's way, in that part of the house, is followed by Mrs. Darcy looked a little ashamed of his aunt's ill breeding and made no answer. For Lady Catherine, stupidity and vulgarity may differ in kind from those of Mrs. Bennet, but they render her no more amiable or respectable. In fact, Collins and Lady Catherine are complimentary, for in fawning on her as he does, he shares the false values she attached to rank and wealth.